there would have been attempts to bring together the two families, but you must also...
New day, new drama in South Africa. According to new reports, King Misuzulu of KwaZulu-Natal is seeking divorce from another wife, says his wives isn't as beautiful as his exes. At a horrific turn of the events, it is said that King Misuzulu of KwaZulu-Natal, the king of the Zulu kingdom, seeks to divorce from one of his wives, citing an unexpected and controversial reason. According to sources close to the royal family, he claimed that the king expressed his dissatisfaction with his current marriage, claiming that his wife was not beautiful like his ex-wife. This statement raised an intense general debate and raised questions about the king's personal preferences, relationships, and the role of beauty in his royal duties. King Misuzulu of KwaZulu-Natal, who ascended to the throne after the death of his father, King Diverging, was undergoing continuous scrutiny since he took the crown. As usual for Misuzulu, he has multiple wives, and it is a deeply rooted tradition in the culture and heritage of the Zulu nation. However, recent reports indicate that the king seeks to end one of these marriages. The sources claim that the reason behind the divorce request is the king's dissatisfaction with the appearance of his physical wife, who is believed to be not up to the beauty of exes. The exact identity of the concerned wife was not revealed, but the comments have already ignited a storm of criticism from both public and ownership observers. Zulu culture, just as many traditional African societies, is of long importance to the concept of beauty in the context of royal marriages. However, beauty has always been personal, and many may argue that the king's decision to search for divorce based on the appearance of his wife undermines the deeper values of loyalty, respect, and duty that must be determined, especially within the royal family. While polygamy is still legal and culturally acceptable in many parts of Africa, the dynamics of modern relationships and a public figure like the king bring additional layers of complexity. King Misuzulu's position as a leader of one of the most prominent kingdoms of Africa means that his actions are often subject to severe scrutiny, and that every decision can have long-term consequences. To understand the danger of King Misuzulu, one must look at the legacy of his late father, King Diverging, who has continued for nearly 50 years. King Diverging was known for his stable and diplomatic rule, and he was seen as his multiple marriage as a symbol of his ability to balance personal and political affairs. His marriages were rarely the subject of public criticism, and the focus was often his rule, not his personal life. However, King Misuzulu faced challenges from the beginning of his rule. The transition to the throne was not after the death of his father without controversy, and now, with the alleged divorce procedures, his leadership is interrogated. Some critics have suggested that the king's focus on personal beauty may distract attention from the most urgent matters in national unity, governance, and the preservation of the traditions of the Kingdom of Zulu. The comments of the king were divided into public opinion. On the one hand, there are those who support his right to search for happiness and personal fulfillment in his relationships, on the pretext that as a human being, he is entitled to obtain his preferences. On the other hand, many condemn the king to what they see as a shallow logic, as some indicate that his actions represent a worrying trend in royal behavior where manifestations exceed deeper values. Among the Zulu people, the king's behavior is often seen through a lens of respect for traditions. Multiple wives is an acceptable practice within culture, and many royal issues may think that the king's private life is only, especially. However, the fact that these measures have become publicly adding a layer of complexity because the king's role is not just a personal but a deep political and cultural. While King Misuzulu moves these personal matters, the effects of the Kingdom of Zulu are still unconfirmed. Some fear that its focus on personal relationships can detract from its leadership responsibilities, especially since the kingdom faces challenges in areas such as economic development, preserving culture, and preserving social stability. However, others may argue that the king's behavior is a reflection of the changing times and the advanced nature of ownership in modern Africa. Just as kings around the world were forced to adapt to the pressures of the 21st century, King Misuzulu's decisions regarding his personal life may be a mere reflection of this adaptation. The pursuit of King Misuzulu of KwaZulu-Natal about a divorce from one of his wives, pointing to her lack of beauty compared to his release, which is the story of Echo outside the royal palace. It imposes a broader conversation about the role of beauty, strength, and personal choice in modern relations, especially in the context of traditional African monarchies. While the king is struggling with these personal challenges, he monitors the world to know how this will affect his rule and the future of the Kingdom of Zulu. Drama that reveals a glimpse of the complications of royal life is often provided, as personal desires and public duties are often at odds, and the real test may not be in the beauty of the husband, but in the strength of the individual leadership and his ability to move to change the title of the islands of traditions and modernity.